hybrid tea, Floribunda, Grandiflora, Shrub, English rose, climber, landscape rose. If you've ever gone rose shopping and thought, what the heck is the difference, then this episode of Know Before You Grow is for you. Hi, I'm Kayla. I live in SoCal 10B, and I am a rose gardener with over 160 roses in my garden. And this series called Know Before You Grow is all about giving you my learned tips and tricks as an amateur rose gardener in the rose gardening space. First, let's talk about hybrid tea roses. When you picture that classic long stem red rose, that is what a hybrid tea rose is. It doesn't necessarily have to be red, it can be any color, but these roses are bred to have very long stems with one singular bloom on the very end of it. So that way you can cut them, bring them indoors, put them in a bouquet. They are very much grown for that reason. They can sometimes look a little bit leggier because their stems are a little bit longer because they are grown to cut a longer stem. So if you are putting it in your garden, know that this is particularly a rose that should probably be put in like the back of a rose garden because it will be taller. Now, when you think about hybrid teas, you think about one flower. Floribunda is flower power. These roses have a ton of roses on one singular stem. Their clusters are typically a little bit smaller and their stems are not as long. So it does form a bushier habit than a hybrid tea does. But you still get a lot of bang for your buck with a Floribunda rose because you're going to get a lot of smaller blooms on one stem, giving you a fuller look. Floribundas are usually better in the landscape because they do look a little bit bushier. So if you're looking for something to put in the landscape, you can, and people do typically tend to lean towards Floribunda because, again, you're getting more bang for your buck with more flower on one bush. Now, when you're thinking about Grandiflora, you can think of it as the best of both worlds. It's a hybrid tea with a Floribunda put into one. So you're going to get really long stems with a lot of flowers on the end of that one stem. It won't be as bushy as a Floribunda because it's a lot more grand. It's bigger. If you're looking for a lot of flowers on the end of one stem that's a little bit longer, a Grandiflora might be what you're looking for. Definitely check the maturity size on your Grandiflora rose that you purchase because these are known to be some of the tallest roses that you can put in your garden. They will get big. You can think about it this way, just as like a little cheat sheet. Hybrid teas are going to give you that one big, beautiful bloom. Floribundas are going to give you lots of clustered blooms. And Grandifloras are going to give you those big blooms on a very, very tall plant in clusters. Hopefully that makes sense. Here's where things get a little bit confusing because a lot of roses are categorized as shrub roses and a lot of roses can fit into the shrub roses category while also being a Grandiflora or a Floribunda. Think about shrubs as like a bush. Hybrid teas are very much upright. A shrub is like a bush. So most Grandifloras and Floribundas fit into this shrub category because they are bushier. Grandiflora is less because they can be a little bit taller like a hybrid tea, but most Floribundas for sure are in that shrub category, which just means that it looks like a bush rather than like an upright vase type of look. Understand though that shrub does not necessarily mean small. I have few shrub roses that are huge, Benjamin Britten, so definitely check to see what the maturity size is on your shrub because that does not mean small. In most cases, it does not mean small. English roses are also where some people get confused. Most English roses are shrub roses. The reason they're called English roses is because David Austin was from England and he was the one who kind of coined the English rose. Those are very much cottage looking. We all love a good David Austin rose. They're very whimsical. They have a lot of petals. There are different types of English roses like climbers and shrubs, but English roses are just a category of roses that come from England. So when you hear the term English rose, just think David Austin. Landscaping and ground cover roses are a little bit different. You commonly hear like knockout or iceberg. Those are landscaping roses. Those are easier to take care of. You don't have to deadhead them as often. And when you do deadhead them, you can literally just like take a hedge trimmer and trim the whole thing down. And like a week and a half to 2 weeks later, you're gonna have a ton more blooms on that plant. We call it iceberg the parking lot rose here in Southern California because it's literally in every single Walmart, Target, Costco parking lot, you'll see iceberg roses because they just grow so floriferously here in Southern California, and they're very easy to manage. So if you're looking for a landscaping rose that's easy to manage, iceberg is definitely on the top of that list. But you will see those roses categorized as landscape. And that just means they're a little bit less maintenance, a little bit easier to take care of, but do understand the risks that come with like buying a knockout rose, for example. For some reason, rosette disease, which is kind of running rampant, it loves knockout. So if you have knockout roses, definitely be aware of that. We don't have too many cases of it here in California, so it's not something we necessarily need to be worried about yet on the West Coast, but it's definitely running rampant in the South and the Southeast right now, and a little bit in the Southwest. So definitely something to look out for if you have knockout roses. Rosette disease can impact any rose in the garden. It just for some reason tends to really latch on to knockout roses and climbing roses, funny enough. Which is a good segue into what we're going to talk about next, which is climbing roses. Climbing roses produced long arching canes that need to be trained. So if you're thinking, oh, I'm going to get this rose, I'm going to stick it up, it's going to climb up this wall, that is not the case. You, as the gardener, actually have to do the training of a climbing rose. You have to figure out what you're going to attach it to. You have to attach it. What a climbing rose does is it just grows really, really long canes. And what I like to do with these climbing roses is train them horizontally, so that way I get more vertical shoots, and then that will bloom, and then you can train that again more horizontally, and then you'll get more vertical shoots, and so on and so forth. Then when you prune back at the end of the year, you can kind of like decide which canes you're going to keep and which ones you're going to get rid of. But a climbing rose just has really, really long canes that you need to train to climb whatever object it is you've decided it's going to climb up. A wall, an obelisk, a trellis, a pergola, whatever you decide, you have to train it. You have to tie it up on there and make sure that it has stability, and it will grow very, very tall and very, very big for you. I didn't mention this in the beginning of the video, but there is a type of rose called a rambling rose, which is kind of like a climber, except it's like way more vigorous than a climber, and it's a lot more wildy than a climber. That has its own like set of challenges because there are so many like individual little tiny stems that are going everywhere. So if you get into the rambler business, know that that is going to be really out of control, and that is something that you really have to make sure you're monitoring and taking care of all the time. I have 3 rambling roses. I have 2 Albrighton ramblers and 1 Malvern Hills rose, and the Malvern Hills rose is new this year, and it is huge. It is in the back by my chicken coop, and it is definitely wildy and unruly, but that's kind of like the look I was going for. I wanted it to be more like cottagey, more fun, more crazy. So that I am excited to kind of train and take care of over the next couple of years and see what it does, but it's already grown halfway up my chicken coop, so that's very exciting. So I made a quick cheat sheet for you to reference when you're out shopping for roses to see like which type you want. So here is the cheat sheet. Are you ready? Do you have a pen? Are you taking notes? If you want long stems, that's going to be a hybrid tea. If you want tons and tons of flowers, that's going to be a Floribunda. If you want big flowers, a lot of flowers, and a really, really tall plant, that's going to be Grandiflora. If you want a full and bushy looking plant, that's going to be a shrub. If you want a romantic, whimsical, cottage looking garden, that is going to be your English rose. If you want roses that are going to grow over a fence, an arbor, a pergola, that is going to be a climber or a rambler. And if you want an easy care rose with mass color, you're going to look for a landscape rose. But here's the biggest know before you grow takeaway for this whole video. Know which type of rose you're looking for. Don't just go based off the picture of the rose and say, yes, that's the one I want. You need to look into the growth habit of the type of the rose that you are purchasing to make sure that it's what is going to fit in your garden and make sure that it's going to fit the aesthetic that you're looking for. Comment the name below of the rose that you're looking to purchase, and I'll let you know my thoughts on that rose. And let me know in the comments, do you have a preference? Do you like climbers? Do you prefer shrubs? Do you prefer hybrid tea or Grandiflora? I'd be tickled to know which is your favorite and which one you prefer to plant in your garden. Join me next time on Know Before You Grow when I talk all about the different places I order my roses from, when I order them, when they get delivered, because we are coming up on that time in the season, and I want to make sure you all know before you grow which roses you want to order before the spring. I'll see you guys later. Bye.